Black Men Cry Too is an invitation for men of color to feel safe to share their truth and unpack their hurt. This space was created for Black men to feel empowered and know it's okay that they can cry too. Support for Black Men Cry Too comes from NYC's Heritage of Pride. Thank you so much, NYC Pride, for selecting us for your give back so we can encourage Black men to know that it's okay, that they can cry too. Another dope sponsor we have for this season of Black Men Cry Too is Black-owned Scotch Porter. Fellas, if you want the best products for grooming and wellness, head over to BlackMenCryToo.com and follow the affiliate link for special inventory and special discounts. Let's not forget our special partner for this season, Happy Cork, where you can not only get the best wine and spirits, but you can get the best Black-owned wine and spirits with this Black-owned wine and spirits store in the heart of Brooklyn. Head over to happy-cork.com and let them know Black Men Cry Too sent you. On this special episode of Black Men Cry Too, I have the pleasure of sitting down with Coviello today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited for this episode. So to start it off, we're going to do something a little different. Mm-hmm. Typically, we take a shot, but we have some beautiful, delicious blue wine with us today that we're going to cheers to.
Cheers to you. Absolutely. It's beautiful on camera, right?
Mm-hmm. Even beautiful on the palate.
There it is.
Very refreshing.
Yes.
So let's talk about this delicious blue wine.
Let's.
What made you get into the wine industry? And there's a beautiful story behind the wine.
Yeah.
Could you share with us and elaborate?
Yeah. So the wine industry, very different industry. Mm-hmm. Super pretentious sometimes. Not really too many of us there, but
and when you say many of us,
many of us,
mm-hmm. How many Black men in total do you think are
in total? Wow, that's I would say no more than 25 of us.
Wow.
No more than 25.
Wow.
And that's a actually good estimate too, unfortunately, but it is getting better, I believe, of the platforms that these men are creating to make it spaces where people feel comfortable, us men, to be able to not feel like wine is a woman thing, mm-hmm. right? Like, come on now, let's be serious. We're in 2021, right? May not feel like that now, but my father loved wine when I was very young. Like, I don't know if you're very familiar with like the Italian culture, the French
I'm
culture.
Italian.
There you go. Okay. So,
my father's Italian on top of that.
Table wine on the table all the time.
And it's the big gallon.
And it's the gallon, mm-hmm. right? And usually you're drinking it at every meal, mm-hmm. and it's fantastic, right? Because you're young and they're like, I get to drink wine. And But my father used to come back from his deployments and he would have cases of wines from all these different areas. He loved, Portuguese wines. He loved his Chilean wines, of course, his Spanish wines. And the thing about it was he used to pair it with the food. So wine is mostly best when it's paired with food. Mm-hmm. Very important. And that's where I learned it from. And I started off very early. And, as I grew and got into my craft, because Morjanev has a story behind it, I started learning a little bit more about how this industry is not only so beautiful in the way that it's constructed. It's just unfortunate that some people bring it to a negative connotation, but it's actually beautiful because I tell people, hey, if you're good at one subject in school, you're more than likely going to like the wine industry because you're going to have linguistics. You got your science in there. You definitely got your math on your business thing. You got gym because you're constantly running around pouring out drinks and stuff like that. It's just it's a very well-rounded industry and product, to say the least.
I was like, are we going to do another sip?
Of course, yes. It's like sipping air, right?
Yeah, it's very light, very airy. I do love it. As for the name, Can you tell us the story behind how you came up with the name for your brand?
Absolutely. Very heartfelt story. And, Morjanev Amour Genève. That's how it's supposed to be said. The French, it's French. So it stands for the love of Geneva. And Geneva is quite a city in Switzerland. My father used to love this city. I wish me and him were able to go there and actually visit together because he loves skiing. I've been skiing since I was like, I think 6, 7 years old, right? And me and him, you can't ski in Geneva, but you can ski in Zermatt, Switzerland, which I have had the luxury of going. It's such a beautiful place. But my father loved Geneva specifically for the nuance of the city and just, it's classic luxury there, and it's very comfortable. You can outlook and see the Alps, and it's a beautiful fountain shooting up right in the middle of the inlet there, and beautiful park overlooking it. It's something about that area. Some of the most intelligent people are from there as well. Intelligent scientists from out there. Yeah, so, of course I would go out there, right?
Makes sense. I mean, you have to be a scientist if you're making wine. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
It's such a science behind it.
Yeah, it is.
So I love how the brand was dedicated to your father, and losing a parent, especially in an unexpected, tragic way, is heavy. As people may or may not know, I lost my mother at the top of this year in an unexpected, tragic way to me because of the fact that it was so unexpected. She was still young and there was no signs that this was going to occur. Can you share a little bit of your experience and how your experience drove you to find something to still honor him and keep him alive for many years that are going to come?
Yes. I first want to say I thoroughly apologize through and through of the loss of your mother. Okay. But I have believed, and I do still believe in my life, that we gain angels. Throughout our life, we gain many angels. And when you become aware of it, it is almost angelic when you live through your life and understand that these are the things that are supposed to happen, right?
I call them my spiritual warriors.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. The ancestors are speaking all the time.
Ooh, I've been listening to them so much this year.
If you don't know, you better know.
Better start tapping in.
So, my father, he always told me this very important thing when I was younger, your blueprint. And your blueprint is the most important thing in your life. And I used to ask him as a child, like, what do you mean? And he used to tell me, he's like, your blueprint is either going to be something that people can, be inspired by and then aspire to be something, that they want to be or better in their life, or like somebody that they emulated, or it's going to be the footsteps for them to learn and, follow in your footsteps to maybe something that they seen in you. And, whatever this life has for people, sometimes we don't really see it until we don't see it. And then when we don't see it, then it happens. And it happens fast, extraordinarily fast. And I didn't foresee myself ever being here where I'm at, right? And but when I started this, I knew I wanted to do something that was an homage to him. My father wanted me to be a neuroscientist when I was young. He had me reading gigantic books, like the books on the table. That would be probably one book stacked on one, and that would be one book. And he would have me reading French philosophers and just the most amazing neuroscientists around the world. And I was reading this very young. Like, it's very rare for you reading like Spot Goes to Camp. Like, I'm reading like the craziest books in biochemistry, like as a kid. But I liked it though. It was kind of weird. I don't know where my mind was when I was that young, but it was open. It was open, and my father wanted me to always be open and be mindful of what this world has, aside of what the world has, because the world has some evil as we see nowadays. But I wanted to do something that was attributed to him because, that always stuck with me, that blueprint. And I achieved it. I achieved it without me even understanding the dynamic of it. And now I'm sharing it with the world, and I'm starting to see just what he was talking about, and how just something simple as the world's first naturally blue wine, and just sharing it with people and seeing their shock and seeing their amazement, and like just seeing me, and it completely shifts the cadence in their mind. Like, wow, like I wish my son can meet you. I wish, my mother, which, left this earth, can meet you. And I'm just like, and I hear people share stories with me about, bringing their families together and going to, the gravesite and spending time with them around this wine. It's like deep stories like that. And that's how I know this is way bigger than me. And, I hope I'm making them happy.
I'm sure you are. I'm very sure you are. How are you able to channel your pain to decide to continue a legacy around your father's life? Like, someone had once told me it's an awful gift because only us who experience it understand it. Correct. And everyone responds to it differently. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you were able to channel it and be like, I'm going to make something beautiful out of the pain I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. How are you able to do that?
Well, I had to first realize this. I had to first realize that, things don't happen to us, right? Things happen for us. That's like the age-old saying. And those age-old sayings do have a lot of weight to them, to say the least. And I really just realized that, my father used to tell me this when I was young too. Like, when I leave this earth, don't cry for me, right? He used to tell me that very young. And, I'm like, well, if you're not here, then what's going to happen, right? And he's like, I'm sure you'll figure it out. And I always believed that, I always believed that. And I was very observant when I was young. And I just stayed very optimistic to the dynamic of what it is that I know I needed to do when he left this earth. Again, I didn't necessarily know what direction that I was going to take when I constructed this product, but I knew that if I just let the wheel go and just pay attention and be aware, I knew that something was going to be delivered to me. And the pain was nullified from me speaking to him 3 days before, we found out that he passed. And I knew everything that was going on in his mind. And unfortunately, I couldn't be there to save him because I was in college at that time. And I was in my junior year of college. And, he told me that, he said, everything I taught you was very important, about the important things that he had in his life. But he said that because I'm gaining so much, success in school, and I was a runner back in the day, so I was a pretty good runner, I would say, in college. And he was saying, you're gaining a lot of success, and I'm very proud of you. But I want you to know that there are some people that aren't cheering for you. And some of those people are maybe the closest people to you. So when you realize that, don't be perturbed by it. Just understand it and just move on and be you. And I didn't know what he meant by that at that point in time. I felt like a kid again when he said that. And, I heard him and I'm like, I don't know why you're telling me this bit of knowledge today, but I think I understand it. And he shared with me the story, and he said he'd be going back down to Arizona, and he wouldn't be back up to New York, again. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. And 3 days later, I get the call, and they find him in the subway tunnel, and the train hit him. And it was a very enlightening direction that my mind went in when I heard the news. And unfortunately, I was very hurt by the whole cadence of it, that he was that hurt that he went into that state and that happened. But I was very happy that he called me, and I was probably the last person he spoke with. And it gave me a relief to know, because now I'm getting signs now of him still being here and him sharing these things that I wouldn't necessarily know if it wasn't him speaking to me. And that is the real dynamic here when it comes down to what we have in this life that we need to be aware of.
I love how you said you can tell when he's speaking to you. I believe in these past 2 years that you can't really find anybody who hasn't experienced loss.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on the magnitude of loss too as well. Was it an uncle, a cousin, a sibling,
Yes,
a parent, a friend? We have lost a lot of people in the past 2 years. When you are able to recognize, and a lot of people are very unaware of what that feels like and kind of closed off to being able to pay attention to the messages that are coming through and being able to kind of connect that even though you are physically giving me this message, because the person who I'm looking to get this message from is no longer here, I can tell and like feel that this message is being delivered by you today because I just needed to hear it. And you were just the person who came to deliver me this message. When were you able to start making that connection and being able to sort of, it's intuition mixed with your ancestors giving you what you need to hear at the time you need to hear it?
Yes. Well, the discernment came probably a year into this business, actually. If I can be transparent,
Yeah, I would love you to be.
I never knew myself until recently. Throughout my life, I'm from Soundview. I'm from the Soundview Bronx. Stand
Where
up.
my mom is from.
Right. So, from Soundview Bronx, and I went to school in this school in Pennsylvania. I don't know if you're familiar with like Susquehanna County or Scranton.
I went to school in Pennsylvania too.
Yeah. So, not to knock it, but it was a very different life. And I went to a school where I was the only African American in the school.
The entire school.
The entire school. I have a picture on my Instagram. That remember that challenge that the men, it was from the men. It was like, I'm a black man, I'm strong, and I did that, and I had to put that picture on there of my second grade class, and I was the one in the middle with the suit on, and I was the only. Everybody's able to find me pretty easy. It's like finding a raisin in a milk bowl. But it went on through elementary and through high school. And the only time I was back in my space was when I was back home in the Bronx. So culture shock, to say the least.
And that's a real thing.
It's a real thing. And the identity crisis was
also a real thing.
Ridiculous. The only people that will go through the situation will know. And, when I got to college, it carried over. And it was still very difficult for me to acclimate to multiple cultures because, again, being from Monroe Projects in the Bronx, there's Afro-Latino mostly, or Puerto Rican, and, Dominicano and Afro-American. So, when I went to college in Ohio. And Ohio is a special place as well. And, the culture shock happened there too.
Yeah.
So, long story short, it took me a long time to really understand myself. And recently I just started to understand myself. And a really great friend of mine actually helped me get there. She told me, if you didn't have this business, who is Coviello? Everybody knows you as, the blue wine guy, the Walter White of wine, the Mr. Amor Genev. Like, if you didn't have this business and it wasn't delivered to you from whatever spirit is there that's floating around in this room now, who would you be? Who would Coviello be? And I couldn't answer that question.
How recently was this question
This
asked?
was in 2020.
Wow.
This was recently. And to be even more transparent, since it's the wine industry. When I started this, when I came back into the States and I started this project, I was only really marketing to who I thought were wine drinkers, which were the pretentious Caucasian community. Because I thought that was the direction that I should take, because I never seen any of my people really consuming anything outside of, like, the $2 chucks and the stuff
Mad Dogs.
So, and that's not a bad thing. We just aren't acclimated. That's why I'm here now, to shake this up. But yeah, I think that I didn't have a choice but to take this journey and to really share this journey with people and let people know that, whatever direction that you want to go in life, it's probably already preordained. The blueprint's there. And of course I didn't know. I guess my father knew. I have a great cheerleading squad up there. And I try to also cheer for people down here because I know it, I'm aware. And I think that's the biggest thing you can have is awareness. So, everybody that's out there, if you want to achieve, it's already done. It's already done. You just got to really believe. You remember that game, Parappa the Rapper? You got to believe.
I don't actually.
You don't? Oh, well, hopefully your viewers know, right? Like, you got to believe. Yeah.
I was like, at least somebody knows.
Yeah.
I'm like uncultured. I kind of want to ask 2 questions. I'm going to ask 2 in 1.
Sure.
I want to ask what inspires you personally. And then if you were to leave this earth today, what wisdom would you want to leave behind that is associated with you personally, separate from your brand?
Yes. What inspires me? I get inspired by love, man. Love is different. And it's hard to find good love, but it's not hard to find good love. Like, if you love, good food, you can be a foodie and you can, enjoy going to restaurants, bringing your friends. If you love movies, you can be a creative director. You can be a person that loves movies and, does movie ratings. If you love, if you love reading, you can read some really heavy-hitting books that will open your mind up, just like if you're cracked an eggshell and,
I thought you were going to say, if you love crack, and I was going to be like, all right, so we're going to cut here.
Oh, no. Crack is not good, kids and ladies
Listen
and
to Whitney
gentlemen.
Houston,
Stay
please.
away from it. I'm a biochemist. It's bad for you. I know. But no, I get inspired by just love, and I get inspired by genuine acceptance of love. And when people find it, because love is what's really going to bring things together to make sense for what's going on now. I don't know if people are feeling love. I don't know if people really love themselves. I don't know if people are aware of the lack of love that the world is in right now. The Beatles were talking about it, Jimi Hendrix was talking about it, James Brown was talking about it. And, I like to think history repeats itself, but I am genuinely in tune with the feeling that love brings. It's like tingles. It's like, it takes your breath away. Sometimes I wish I had another pair of lungs, because when I do find genuine love in some of these rooms, it's like, gotta breathe very deep. And it's beautiful when you find it and see it. It's like, wow, there is a God, and this world is here generating the energy that needs to bring this love here. So that's that. And
can I interject really quickly?
Absolutely.
Do you feel like you had that experience with your father when he was around? And do you feel like you still have that experience when you feel your father's presence today?
I do. My father was a character. He used to, so the one thing I remember about my father is we used to go to McDonald's, and I remember I still to this day get the same meal. The medium French fries with the chicken McNuggets with pure honey.
Oh, see, I thought you were going to say honey mustard, and I was like, oh my God, we grew up like the same, but we're so
Pure
close.
honey.
I do that at Popeyes. So I
Yes.
respect it.
So I'll ask, he used to go up to the drive-thru and he's like, and if a lady got on the mic, he would say, he's like, can I get the chicken McNugget meal with pure honey? And they would laugh, and I would be like, I was a young kid, and I used to hear this,
Smooth
and I was
moves,
like,
Dad.
goodness gracious, Dad, you're a hound. And it's so funny that I like to this day, like I still have the mannerisms of what he used to, and like even my family that I still correspond with, they're like, you got his laugh. You got his face.
The laugh that you just did just now?
No. Yeah, that too. But it's like that kind of laugh. Like he was such a genuinely good soul. And you know, I know that he's here. I know it. And I know that other people are here too. Just you know, because when you're aware that one person is there and you start seeing yourself like a parent, and you start seeing things that you do, what people don't have to tell you, you start feeling it like, oh, this is Dad here. Yeah, this is him. It just makes life so much more enticing to live. Just knowing that we're not in control of nothing here. It's fun.
Yeah. It definitely helped me because I'm a Capricorn and we have control issues. So
It was as well.
Look, me and Dad understand. So letting go of that control and realizing, like, actually living day to day and stopping myself from, like, yes, you can plan ahead, but don't stick to a plan. So when your plan fails, you don't feel like you failed.
Right.
That was a hard lesson for me to learn, but that's what this year gave me.
Yeah.
So back to my second part of the question.
Yes.
The words of wisdom that you would leave behind.
Oh man, there's a few. And one of them come from that book on the top right there, the 4 Agreements. You gotta just do your best. Like, man, you know, some people may feel like this life wasn't for us, especially our people. And realistically, it may not be. You know, what we see right now may not be for us. Right? It may not be something that's delivered to us. Like, you know, social media is making people lose their sight of self deeper and deeper. It's like rabbit holes. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, you know, it seems like it's getting even more distracting on the way that people are seeing themselves and finding themselves. And I think that if we don't do it now, I don't know what generation's going to do it. You know, the kids nowadays are very intelligent, but they're very distracted as well. Mm-hmm. And the parents are also distracted. And, you know, there's no cadence of family like it was back in the day, which, you know, traditions can be broken, but I think there's some things that need to stay. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's one thing. Just understanding that everything that's being delivered, whether it be celebrity or whether it be clothing or imagery or fashion, or whether it just be just the things that we think that we need and want, most of them are just facades and smoking mirrors. And until you're able to see that, you know, you can format whatever you want to format if you just open your mind and ask out loud sometimes, you know, because I think you need to ask for things out loud.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because, you know, closed mouth don't get fed. And, you know, it's better when the auditory sounds go through, right? So I would say you always have to speak what you want into existence. Please speak what you want into existence. Because realistically, you can plan all you want. You can take the direction of what others say. You can take mentors. You can take those challenges, make $1 million in 30 days, whatever. But it really takes the work. The work is what's going to get you there, because the work is where you start feeling things.
Yeah.
you start realizing just who you are through the work and the feelings and the hurt and the pain and the joy and the love and the guidance and the mentorship and all that stuff that comes in that nice ribbon and bow and that box. You gotta be able to just be aware of that. So ask for things out loud and really take heed to what you're asking for. Because when you ask for it out loud, it can come to you very quickly, right? And another thing that I would tell people is just love and be yourself. My goodness
the
gracious.
carbon copies of the world. That's
love
what I call
and be
them.
yourself. Because again, like I stated in the beginning, I didn't know myself prior to this business. And I thought this business was me. And I lost a lot of myself in this business. And it only took that one person to switch my mind on, like, who are you without this business? Who's Coviello? And I couldn't answer that question. And I was so shocked that I made it to where I was at, and I still can't answer that question. But then when I sat back and I started to really sit, I started to emulate that cave. I started listening to my heart and soul, and I started to feel my chest, and I started to feel the breathing differentiate, and I started to sit in pain. And I started to realize that none of this is being driven by me anymore. And this is way bigger than me. And when I figured that out, I just let him take the wheel. And that's another phrase that's readily said. And these phrases are like things that we kind of like don't pay attention to. But when I think about all of them now, I'm like, wow, we live in a very, very special world.
I feel like I can talk to you for hours, but unfortunately I can't.
Yes.
But this is my favorite question that I ask at the close of the show. 3 songs that you listen to get you in and out of any mood. First 3 that comes to mind. And now anytime you laugh, I'm just going to assume that's your father laughing with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give one of his. He loved Basha. Do you know Basha?
I don't think so.
Oh, Cruising for a Bruising. Cruising for Bruising. It's so throwback. It's like in the same era as Sade.
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
okay, so maybe I do know.
But Basha was like, oh man, it speaks to your soul. And I still listen to Basha to this day. And you should listen to Basha. People out there should listen to Basha. It's definitely soul searching, to say the least. And then for my stuff, pretty outlandish stuff. I'm a big fan of Tyler, the creator, of course. So, Earthquake is one of my favorites.
I will give you that. I'm not a Tyler fan, but Earthquake gets me every time.
Yeah. His new one is just beautiful too. Wilshire talks about his first love. His first love was, and he fell in love, and he didn't think it was love. He never thought he would find love, but he found it, and it was somebody else's love. And he tried to take it, and he didn't get it, and the pain there was so deep. And, I've dealt with love on numerous occasions, and I've dealt with trying to fix love for myself, and it didn't necessarily work, and I'm not giving up on it. I won't. And then I love Lil Uzi and Pharrell, Neon Guts, higher than Elon Musk. How stars Zena Ardest, yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
And then the last question is, what words of advice would you give young Black men today?
Listen to your parents, but listen to your soul too, because it is your soul. It's your soul, and it's nobody else's. And you're the only one that possesses what it is that relies in you. Your legs move depending on whatever the lady or man upstairs is telling you to do. And nobody can see that but you and that mirror that you look in every morning. So look in that mirror and love you, because nobody is going to do it like you. Flat out. That's it.
Should be a philosopher.
I like to think so.
Okay, then I'm just going to call you a philosopher. Thank you so much for tuning in to our season finale of Black Men Cry Too with Coviello, the philosopher.
Finale.
What a finale.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.